I ran your face and your prints through every database.
Good evening and welcome to the stream tonight. And hello everybody. Sorry, I'm laughing. Whilst I'm just doing something here, I have a visitor to the studio tonight, and I got a visitor who's insisting on being stroked. Let me. I know that's upside down. That's Junior. And when he wants stroking, he starts sticking his claws in my arm and my chest. So I've kind of got to settle him down a little bit. See if he'll settle down. You're on television again, Junior. Say hello to all those folks on the other end of the internet. There you go. So tonight, welcome everybody. We'll be doing some more chainmail shortly when this pussycat has settled down. Or I might have to put him down if he won't, but he can get quite insistent about being stroked. And as you can see, he's settled down now, but if I stop stroking him for a bit, he'll actually stand up and start sticking his claws in me not sort of maliciously stick his claws in. It's kind of a we describe it as paddling. He sort of puts his paw on you and just closes his paw, and in doing so his claws come out, so you get claws in you. It's actually a kitten response, is that, which they do to their mother cats to produce milk. So effectively doing that and then getting a response actually sort of pleases the cat, shall we say. It's pleasant for him to do that and to get a response, because the mother cat would potentially, while she's producing milk, also wash him, which of course, stroking a cat, to a cat effectively you're washing him, because that's what another cat would do, would be obviously using the tongue just to rub their fur, so you're cleaning him, you're grooming him, and the mother cat would do that, usually in response to that sort of behaviour on her stomach, and therefore there's quite often cats will just go all gooey-eyed, if you like, and start purring just because it's such a pleasurable thing for them to do. So welcome to tonight's cat stream. You going to settle now, Junior? While I do some of these ring stuff. Alright guys, at the moment you're not missing anything. I'm just taking apart some rings I did earlier. Look at him, look at his face. How can you resist a face like that, eh? Right, so I'll show you what I'm doing here, and I can't really show you both at the same time, so I'm going to just remake up the chain that I was trying to produce last night, and we'll see whether it works. It may not. So another one of these. That one will do the job. So I tried this last night, and basically it got into some sort of a model to the point where I just couldn't tell what was going on. So we had to start again. Yeah, then so it starts with 2 lots of chains, so we'll just make up 2 lots of chain. So basically just recreating what I did last night. Well, hopefully not recreating it too well. Let's say recreating the successful bit that I did last night. I don't want to recreate the unsuccessful bit, that would be a bit pointless. Okay, another 2 to go on here. Kind of working around this pussycat at the moment. See if he'll stay. Does make it a little bit awkward for me though, so please excuse me if I'm not always exactly on frame. I can tip it. Let me tip it up a little bit. You'll get a bit of him and you'll get a bit of me, and I'm sure you prefer him, but Occasionally some people possibly will have come for the ring stuff, so I suppose we ought to show some of that. So what I'm going to do is bring this down into frame so you can see. So we start with that. We then take this chain, get that out of the way, which then sits over the top of this, sort of like that. They kind of stack. Now then, the last time I did this, I got things like this ring in the wrong place. It is in, well, I'm going to mess about with these rings now, but in actual fact, in a moment I'm going to pick that up. I won't bother because I'm going to pick it up. When I pick it up, the rings will go all over the place. Now then, the trick being though that these want to be on top of the ones underneath, and that's kind of where things got a bit confused yesterday, and it's certainly where they got confused on this one, which I'll take about apart later on, and we'll see if we can get that one to work. So I'm about to do something wrong. So before I do it wrong, I'm going to work out what it is I'm going to do. And I'll start, I think, by looking at a diagram that looks like that. Okay, so that's the that's that one, so this just goes through there and adds a new ring on, and they actually go this side of it, so that goes under there, right? Okay, as I mentioned, it is important that these little tiny rings go in the right place, and as I've just discovered there, I was about potentially to put them in the wrong place. And that's possibly where I was having problems before. So it's going to go on the bottom side here. So I know this is going to go all over the place when I do this, but we shall hopefully be able to sort it out. So that ring wants to go through there. He wants to. Okay, good job I've got this on the cocktail stick. That ring wants to just go through there, and I want a blue ring on it as well, and then I'll close it. And hopefully I can put this back down on the desk and sort out just exactly where the next ring goes. Okay, that's the bottom one, that's the next one up, and that's the top. God blimey. Yeah, blimey. This is not an easy one to start. That's that chain. 4. So does this look fiddly? Right, I've probably got that twisted the wrong way. That's it, like that. Okay. Then I know that underneath there, just hold these things in place. Come on, stop playing about, rings. But that goes in there like that. And that'll go in there. Right. So let me just open this pink ring here, which just happens to be sat on the desk. Okay, are you going, Junior? Okay. No, you can't settle. You are going to have a go at settling just right there, aren't you? That's because I'm looking at that screen, isn't it? Because I'm looking at that screen, he wants to settle right in front of it. Ah dear. Well, we shall see how that goes with a pussycat laid right in front of me. And yeah. Okay, well, stay there nice and neatly then. Hopefully I won't need anything that is laid on. Now then, what I do need to do is pick up that ring and no, don't push things like that, Junior. That ring. I'll need to pick up this ring here. And having picked up that ring there, I also need to pick up one of the new ones. Before I close the one that I'm looking at. Put it back down on the desk. Right. Check that I'm sorting this out properly. So those rings want to go there. Okay. Now then, I want my pink ones out that I was working with last night. So I've got some open ones in here. I'm sure I've got some open ones in here. I put open ones in there last night, so you'd think they'd still be in there somewhere, but I'm not going to be able to find them. Let's open one. So now with this, I pick up that ring and that ring. I pick up that ring there. I pick up a blue ring. Which won't quite go where I want it to. Which is like that. And then I close it. Now let's see if I can get rid of these cat hairs that Mr. Junior here has spread all over my desk. Put this back down there. that goes over the top of there like that. Okay, all these blue rings all want to be this side of the ones near it. So I pick up the two blue ones here. I'm hoping that once I've just got this row in, then it'll become a lot easier to just pick this up and hold it in my hand rather than trying to do this on the desk. And pick up that blue ring and put that over the top of there and grab that. So for those people who are watching, what you're watching me attempt to make is a dragon scale chain weave using rings that I have no idea if they're appropriate. It's because I'm experimenting just to see. Never made one of these before, so it might, you know, whether it's working or not, no idea at this stage, but it sort of looks like it's working. So now I just go through just the two here because there's no more blue rings on the end to pick up. Okay, so now having done that, I just close this. Now this is further than we got yesterday using this particular set of rings. So already we're sort of being a bit successful today. Now at that point, Murphy walks in the room, doesn't he? Always walks in the room, just Murphy at that point. And you find things don't go quite how you thought they were going to go. So now then, for the next row I'm going to need 4 open pink rings, and then I will need 5 closed blue rings. So we'll open the 4. Three and one more. And actually, whilst we're here, might as well open the next 5 as well, since I happen to exactly have 5 out by pure coincidence. Three, 4, and 5. Now then, I've got blue rings in this box here. So I'll just tip a few of those out. Problem with cat hairs, little tiny cat hairs like this, is they get everywhere, including all over your face. Fluffy Twiglet, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. Yes, I am trying it again. I'm being a little bit more successful this time. And we've had a visitor tonight. I don't quite... he's got his paw on the other camera, so I don't want to move that one. But we've got Junior in the stream. He was sat on my knee earlier. But he's decided that he'd rather not, and he's gone and sat right in front of me, in front of the other monitor. So unfortunately you missed his visit, but he is here. So how are you doing today, Fluffy Twiglet? One. Oh, by the way, thank you for following me on Twitter, by the way. I noticed, I can't remember when I noticed that, but I did notice it when, I know I noticed it today when I looked, but I can't remember if I noticed it previously, so excuse me if you did follow previously and I hadn't noticed. Now then, swap pliers. These are rapidly becoming one of my favourite pairs of pliers for my left hand anyway. Now, they grip the ring so much better than these for the left hand. That's not, oh, that is the right rings. Because of the parallel jaws. Right, okay, this is, I want to pick up 4 with the, right, okay, so I'm going to pick up that and I'm going to take it through the ring that I can see down there. Okay, so I'm going to put that back on there. Where's my cocktail stick? Let's see if I can, once I'm guessing once I've got particularly this section in, it might hopefully get a bit easier. So I've got hold of that. Now then, I'm going to turn this I'm sure if I knew well, I do know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm sure once, if you've got the trick of this, you can probably just pick this up and do it in your hand. But I haven't quite got that trick yet. Now that, I think, goes over the top of there. Okay, and then I should be able to close this pink ring. And put that back down on the desk. Come on, that's it. Don't fold under. Okay. That sort of worked. Right. I'm being a bit picky, trying to put that ring in a particular place, which I know is probably going to come out again in a minute when I pick it up again, but this is all, you know, part of trying to work out easy ways of doing things maybe. So now that those two are in place, yay kitty, sorry I'm concentrating on this, not looking at chat, being a bit ill today. Oh, that's not very good. You are really eager to go back to university, and yeah. Ah dear, well, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm sorry you've been feeling ill today. I hope you do feel better soon if you're not already feeling better. It's not particularly nice feeling ill, not particularly nice at all. I was kind of about to say I don't mind feeling ill. That's not quite what I meant. Is I'm not, generally speaking, I can sort of put up with being ill. The bit I can't put up with very easily is feeling nauseous, feeling sick. I cannot tell when I feel nauseous. I can't tell whether I'm actually going to be sick or not. My wife can, but I can't. And I hate that feeling, and unfortunately, as I do from time to time get migraines, that's sort of something that nausea comes with it sometimes, especially either on its own, as it happens occasionally, or just from the pain. Okay, this is working. Working. Hopefully. So I just gone through that one, so I'm going to make sure I pick up the right one here, because I think that's where one of the reasons I went wrong yesterday with this thin rings was I actually went into the wrong place. I sort of joined down here when I should have joining where I am now. Okay, and put that down. Let's make sure we get that blue ring where it is supposed to go, which is inside that ring there. And then we pick up the final no, this side. What have I done? Lost the blue. Okay. And have another blue here to go on there. And close this ring. Right, it's sort of it is starting to work. Might be a bit loose, but we'll see how it goes. And all those rings are in the place I expect them to be, which is fantastic. So I now need more blue rings. So I've just done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue rings, so this time I need 4. I guess I should really just prep lots of these, but doing them one at once, then well, a row at a time, then at least we know where we are. There's nothing really holding the end rings at all in place, so not quite sure how that's going to look. What I might prefer to do, but we'll see when we get a bit further in it, is somehow link all the end rings together in a way. Put something like a border down the outside just to hold them all in a place, so you don't have to sort of, if you put a bracelet or a band on like this, then all of a sudden you've got to start and tweak all the end rings to make them sit properly. Okay, so if I've worked this one out right, this one fairly simply, we pick up one ring in a really awkward handed motion, and attach a blue ring to it. And close. That does not feel right. That does not feel correct. It does. 5 pink rings, that's right. That means there's 4 blue. Fear Reaper 7, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. I am doing quite well, although it's a little warm here in the studio, but I'm doing well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, Fluffy Twiggler is not, or has not been feeling too well today. And you did miss Junior's visit. He is there, literally just the other side of the camp. In fact, now that he's just moved this one a little bit, I'll see. He's there. He's laid on this camera lead, so I can't actually leave the camera like that, but he is there, and of course, as you can see, it doesn't quite focus, but he's laid on it. And Junior, indeed. And this camera, well, I'd have to realign it to point it at him, and then you wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. And there's only so much I can do to show you the pussycat when he's actually laid on the camera lead. He was almost laid on the camera not so long ago. Right, that's going to go through those two. And it's going to go. It is going to go. I know it's going to go because I'm going to make sure it goes through that blue there. Alpaca poop. Hi, hello, welcome to the studio. Thank you very much for following. That is most kind of you. So this is a complex simple, or a simple complex weave. Oh dear. Cat hairs! Get everywhere! Okay, let's see if I can hold this in my hand now to do this next bit, because that of course will make it easier to do. So we're going to pick up that ring and that ring, curl it around, pick up that ring, and put a blue one on there. Now if I can get hold of this, I can then close that pink ring, and it looks like I can hold on to this now, which will make it easier to weave. So that goes in that space. And then I collect it, and that one, I collect that one, and pop another blue one on. So although we had problems yesterday with this, essentially I caused it by trying to put actually putting a ring through the wrong place. Instead of putting the ring like I'm about to do through here. Am I about to do that? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I'm about to put, yeah, you see, if I'd put a ring through there, which I was just telling you, actually it would be in the wrong place, and it actually needs to be through here. What I'd done yesterday, if you like, instead of putting a ring through there, I sort of put it through here somewhere and completely messed it up because of that, and it sort of tied itself in knots. I'm not doing that right. Yeah, I'm not doing that right. That ring wants to be there. This ring wants to be there because I need to pick up that ring. That's the thing. There's sort of loose hanging rings around. Don't put anything on the end of that. I just close it. Yes, hopefully a bracelet. Well, it's a test strip, but if the test strip works as it actually is doing, I intend to extend it to bracelet length, assuming I've got enough rings to do so, which I think I have, and we'll just see what it looks like as a bracelet. But that's the weave, a dragon scale weave. Now the only thing I'm not that keen on myself is these rings at the end. They just sort of flop about. What would be nice maybe afterwards is to maybe run something down the edge of this, like instead of leaving it just open, just run a set of rings down the outside just to hold them in place, and act like an edging thing. Otherwise, when you put it on as a bit, you'd be sort of then having to, use your fingers and try and get all the rings to lay nicely on the outside. But it's not. Maybe it won't be too difficult. Maybe it'll do that naturally when there's more of them. But I don't look too bad. That looks quite nice. And this time, these blue looking rings are actually blue, as opposed to on other occasions they've been purple and they look blue. But well, that's working. So let's have some more pink rings open. We've got 5 there, so we want 4 for the next row, and then 5 for the row after that. That's 3, 4, 5. And all of these, all the pink rings are open. I'm working with open pink rings and closed blue rings. The bigger rings are I was about to say the bigger rings are easier to close in something like that. I don't know. Maybe there's 2 ways of doing this as a weave. You can either work with open blue rings and closed pink, or open pink and closed blue. Well, I'm working with the closed blue because I figured that the blue rings would be somewhat more fiddly to try and close in the weave, but I don't actually know that, and maybe I ought to try the other way as well, but not on this particular bracelet. Now using these ring sizes, it is quite loose, is that. So once we've done this one, I want to try back with, if I have enough rings left, to try back with this perhaps, because these blue rings here are slightly thicker than these, and the weave should be a bit sort of more closer, or a tighter weave. This one is too tight because I've got a faulty, well, I've opened a ring somewhere in the middle of there now, and that's just holding everything really stiff, but it might be too stiff. What am I doing? Oh yes, what I'm doing is attempting to, I don't want that anymore, I need to close these 5 blue rings. Okay. Oops, is it? That was a bit too, yeah. They're quite fine wire, these small rings. I think it's I think these are 0.8mm rings. Yeah, the wire diameter is 0.8mm, so quite tiny. I'm going to be careful in bending them, not to, or closing them, not actually to over bend them. It's really easy to do. So there's 5. I now want another 4 for the next row, so we'll just prepare the 4 in advance. Seem to have more strength than I know what to do with tonight. I'm applying a little bit more force than I need. It's sort of I'm lacking a little bit of finesse tonight on these. Okay, right, we'll be able to. Right, let's have a go at doing the weave again. So, make sure that ring's in the right place, which it is. So we're going to start with a pink ring with a blue ring already on it. Alright, we'll go on that side then. And we pick up that blue ring there. Come around, I pick up that blue ring there, and then I have to add a blue ring on, which is the one that I pick up the next on the next time I do on one of the future rows, not the next row but the one after it. The blue ring I'm putting on now is the one that I pick up, so it forms the next link in the chain. Because what we're really doing here is sort of weaving 2 layers through each other. So the blue rings form one layer, and the pink rings form the other layer, but they're sort of intertwined inside each other. Okay, so now that pink one, that's the one we just added, is the one I pick up now, and through there, pick that up, and as you can see now I can sort of hold this, and it's not falling apart. The rings are going roughly where we want them to go. I did say roughly. There we go. I wanted it to just go underneath that ring, and it didn't quite go. But as you can see, it's sort of it's what gets called stable now. The pattern is stable. If I were to drop this, it become I can just pick it up and just more or less carry on. We know exactly where all the layers are, all the rings are, and we don't have the problem like I got yesterday, where effectively put it down on the desk and everything just got tangled up. So actually, in a minute, what I'd be able to do is zoom the camera in so you get a closer view of what I'm doing. So let me just put this one on, and then I'll be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to be working there. Oops, actually I haven't. Bring up my camera control. I'm just adjusting the fan a little bit there so that I actually get some cool air. Right, I shall endeavour to do my best to stay in frame. Okay, so this pink ring will go through these two here, like that. We'll loop around and pick up just one of these two blue ones there, like that. What I'll then do is put another blue one on for the next layer, and then we'll close this pink ring up. Its job's done. So that's the next layer in place. And now we kind of just do the same thing again. Now this one will go there. There's no blue rings at this side to pick up, so I'm just going to pick the one up on the far side of it and drop a blue ring over the top of it. and close. And then I go through the same 2 blue rings there that I've just been through with the pink ring I just inserted. Over the top of those, pick up just the one there and add a blue ring onto it. So you can see the blue rings sort of stack backwards almost, and so do the pink ones for that matter. So sometimes the hardest part about it is picking up this one ring I've got here before I start and persuade it to go through these things. Julia, be careful. Are you going to turn around or are you going? He's going to turn around. That probably means he's going to knock the camera all over the place. Yeah. What do you see with cats? As they move around, they very gradually push everything out of their way. So everything ends up on the floor. I'm kind of surprised this is still pointing at me. Oh dear. At least what he's doing is weighting it down now. It's one of these that's got a flexible stand, is this camera in front of me. And it has a tendency to rock and fall over and things without some weight on the bottom of the stand. At least Junior's acting as a weight. He just wants to be with me. He's a companion type cat. He doesn't necessarily want to to be all over you or laid on you or anything like that, like some cats do. He just wants to be in your presence. Okay. So those 2 blue. Oh, come on rings. You've been good up to now. Don't start playing games. There we go. And I pick up that one and add the blue ring. So far at least I've not forgotten to add that blue ring in. And then the final ring on this row just simply picks up the 2 blue ones and doesn't add anything on the right hand side because there's nothing there to add. So we're not going to extend anything to the right hand side. So we now just close that. The nice thing about this chain is it's the same the other way up as well. Yes, if you look at it, the pink rings all slant that way and the blue ones all slant that way. Flight GG, good evening, welcome to the studio this evening. Nice to see you. We're making a dragon scale bracelet length band of chainmail it is, but we're going to keep doing this either until we get to about 8 inches long, or I run out of rings, whichever comes first. So I now need more rings. So all of these, let's do this as a you know, rather than doing half a dozen at a time. Let's change pliers. Yeah, it's alright for you, Junior. Just getting the pliers out. And I know tucked under you somewhere are some more rings, but we might need them later. So I'll just it'll be fairly quick to open these pink rings, but we need to close a few of the blue ones, so that'll take some time, because if I do this now it means I can sort of weave a little bit faster than having to keep stop and open and close rings. So it's a bit of a trade-off as to which way is quicker, but generally speaking it's a bit easier to prep rings first and then to weave them afterwards. So this is just grab them with the pliers. This ring that's on my finger, it's just got slots in it of appropriate sizes to take the rings, so I can just put them in and just twist. It saves me having to sort of grab hold of them with pliers in my left hand, so it's quicker. No particular, I'm not opening them to any particular width, it's just open enough to be able to get at least one ring through. And these are being opened in an anti-clockwise direction just because I'm right-handed. If you were left-handed you'd probably open them the other way. And very occasionally for some weaves it is actually better to do what would be called a reverse opener, and I'm trying to think what it is, but one of the weaves that I have done, I think it may well be the Persian weave. It is actually better to open the rings in the reverse direction just because of the way they go through each of the links. Yep, says it. Now often when you're watching, especially if you watch YouTube videos, you won't normally see this bit. This is the bit that they do off camera, and you just see rings already open, just ready to go. Which can give you a little bit of a false sense of just how long some of these things take. Not far to go. Opening them is easier than closing them, so it can be quite fun doing this as well. It's not, you know, it's not necessarily the most interesting bit of chainmail work, but it is quite fun just to sit here and twist rings. Because you don't actually, there's no, as I mentioned, there's no precision needed for it. So you can do this while doing something else, you know, like watching an interesting streamer on Twitch. And there's plenty available in the creative category, of course, which is what you're watching now. Joe's No 7, good evening. Welcome to the studio. Was I going invisible? Holding it too close off frame again. You do know, of course, that Fear Reaper has made me Lord of the Rings, don't you? I've got an image where he's got a ring, if you like this, gold, like on Lord of the Rings, which says Zerrigan across it in glowing letters. It's going to go certainly on my website at some point soon. Is that when I get it launched? Right, so that's the blue. Let's do. I can't use. Sorry, the pink. Ah dear. I can't use this to close rings though, so I have to put that to one side and swap pliers. So I'm not going to do all of these. I'll do a few, and we'll do a few more. As we need them. Okay. So there's nine blue rings for each 2 rows. Now I could prove that I can count just by counting these as I do it, but I'm going to avoid doing that. Oh, I'm not. I don't make rings. But somebody obviously is a master ring maker, because they do make these. I just assemble them in really pretty designs. So I certainly bow to the skills of the ring maker that is able to make beautiful coloured rings like this. And there are some really nice colours involved. In fact, these pink ones, they're actually called dark rose. They're sort of a deep pink is perhaps a better description. They're not a light pink, or so they're towards the sort of red end of pink. Two, 4, 6, 7. I mean, I said I wasn't going to count. I just did, didn't I? Okay, well, I've now got enough for 2 rows. Let's do 2 rows, then I'll do some more blue rings. Okay, right. Actually, one of the nice things about this, it doesn't matter which. I can work from that side, or I can turn it over and work from that side. Exactly the same from both ends, which is kind of nice. It does. You know, some weaves kind of have a start and some kind of don't. So this next one is going to need to go through there. So I need, yeah. So I need pink ring with a blue one on it already. Pick that up, pick one up on the other side, then add a blue ring in again. When you want, this is patience. When it's slightly frustrating, rings just want to jump off. You can see putting the pliers down now and to pick them up again is the bit that takes adds a fair bit of time. So that's why when I'm opening rings, I am now quite liking using that metal finger ring, because it means I don't have to keep picking up and putting down the pliers, which saves a bit of time. And this is the funnest bit of weaving rings. Not so much, the opening bit is okay, it's a bit of fun. The closing bit is a bit more fiddly, but the weaving bit's the best. I've watched the Danish guy do the leather crafts. It looks interesting, but it's not something I'm about to start. To be honest, at least it's not something I'd want to start for a while. At the very least, I just don't have the space to do anything like that. And the other thing about that is I've got cats, and one thing we've discovered is cats don't like new leather, and it totally sort of puts them off. It's obviously, I don't know if it's the tanning or the fact that it's an animal skin, but they just don't like it. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's a craft I'd want to do for that reason. HTML5 play. Don't know whether I've seen it or not, to be honest. It'll be nice if they have. How can you tell which player you're using? Shows no 7. And good evening, Fear Reaper. I'm using I don't know, it's I'm not looking at my own stream back tonight. I normally use Chrome, although I have recently been using Edge. As well, but it doesn't like Edge doesn't like popping the windows out, so I've reverted to using Chrome for the moment. Yeah, noticed YouTube was. It kind of looks a little odd on YouTube. With the controls, like the full screen control at the bottom right and stuff like that. When it kind of looks like I'm using the wrong resolution. I've got so used to the other ones that I keep having to check that I'm not actually accidentally switched it to 640 or something like that. Right, so what I do now is I pick that one up and put a blue ring on it. Yeah. Transparent. So it shows up in Twitch. Well, yeah, it would do, wouldn't it? It show up in Twitch exactly the same way with the transparent controls. It might mean it works better on the iPad then, which will be nice. Go. In there, thank you. Oh, I'm sure. I wonder how long. I wonder how long it's going to be before they find HTML5's got some security problems. They're always finding security problems. I am totally surprised this camera is still showing me, despite the fact it must have some sort of face tracking software on it, on the camera itself. Yeah, certain. I mean, the flash on the on the Series 1 iPad was kind of always a sort of a bit of a problem. No, it's that's a bit. When Flash came out, nothing else did that, so you know that's how new technologies are done. It's easy to look back on something and say, hey, that's bad, but or was bad. You go back where you're supposed to be, which is there. Okay. And you stop trying to escape. You're going to go back into there. Oh, bother. I use them all. I've got actually I don't have Windows 7 anymore. I did use Windows 7 not so long ago. That machine's now on Windows 10, but I use 8, 8.1, 10. I started when Windows before, well, you might call it Windows 1. Before yeah, it was before they even did multitasking, so there was Windows, the original Windows, then Windows 386, and it went from there. But then they introduced multitasking, and I've been through just about every version of Windows, and it just gets better. So I'm not particularly into the argument of 7 being better than 10 and stuff like that. Most people's arguments, and I'm not saying yours are, but most people's arguments are 7 looked better, therefore you can make 10 look like 7 if you really want to. If it's only aesthetic stuff. It's the stuff in the background that matters more, the actual operating system itself, and they just really have just got better. They love any operating system that they can get into. You could have, well, lots of programs would keep logs and report those logs back to their host and things like that. And they've been doing that since Windows 7. In fact, they've been doing it earlier than Windows 7. So you just turn the features off. If you're that bothered about it, you just make sure your outbound firewall doesn't let through anything that you don't want it to do. It's a more secure operating system than any of the earlier ones. There's less legacy code in it for a start, which inherently makes it more secure. So. And people start wanting things like cloud features and stuff like that, and as soon as you start needing that, a lot more has to get shipped across networks, and then somebody just starts talking about, oh, this is good because for spies and stuff like that. It's not fantastically difficult to pick up what a machine is doing, even if you've actually got no contact with it at all. Yeah, well, that's political issues is something I think we'll stay away from. Chosen 07. Lenovo are installing bloatware again. Well, yeah, that's where they kind of make their money from, though. Is all the advertising stuff that they put on machines, and it's I'll put it in sort of, that's down to you and me who buy those machines. If we didn't buy them, and then they start doing things like saying, why don't you buy them because of all this, then that would be one driver for them not doing it. But then they put the price up, and then people go, well, I'm not paying that. People would rather pay less and have all that stuff on it. Ultimately, people who might know more about it kind of go, well, that's wasting all the power of my machine, it's wasting disk space and stuff like that, and therefore don't want it. But other people want to pay less. The manufacturers have to get the money from somewhere. You can't get away from that. Now then, I've just done that, so this one's going to come up through there. So I want a ring to start with. So you kind of pays your money, you takes your choice. Of course, you could always, well, actually I don't know whether you can. I was about to say you could always, of course, buy the machine and then clean install it again. But I suspect the install discs have got all the software slipstreamed onto it, so you can't. But there's no to stop you buying a retail version of the software and installing that. It just puts your price up. Yeah, not wrong with that. Use it if you want to use it. You know, it'll be out of support at some point, but if you want to use it, you just accept the risks of doing so. And basically, if you've got an extremely good firewall, then you might be able to mitigate most of the risks. After all, a machine that's not actually connected to any network, whilst it can be infected, it can't do much with the information it collects or does. Because most people don't use machines that way, but you know, what the heck. Yeah, I have no idea what the Windows 7 support is. Well, 2020. Not sure. It sounds, given that we're now on 2010, it sounds a little bit far out. But there again, I'd have expected about 3 years, I think. But I don't actually know, so. I'm quite happy to take your assertion there, Charles07. Now that this weave is working really nicely like this, I actually think it looks quite nice. I'm kind of enjoying constructing it. It sort of really feels quite nice. It doesn't build very fast though, but that's kind of not surprising when it's sort of 5 rings wide. So for every row, which is probably about 3 or 4 millimeters, you're putting in, you know, either 5 or 9 rings depending on how you count it, if you count the blue ones as well. Whereas something like a Byzantine, of course, you put in 6 rings in and you've got 0.5 centimetre. Okay, that means if I remember rightly, that means you get security fixes only, not bug fixes or feature enhancements. And it's kind of aimed at companies, giving them an extended length of time to change over to a more up-to-date operating system. That's another row complete. I suspect not in a way it shows no 7. I suspect that what will happen is once Windows 10 is embedded, it's going to get a more generic name, like just Windows, because what they're intending to do, of course, for how do I do this? I just put that through and pick up a ring. Okay. What they're intending to do is to push Windows 10 to a continuous update cycle. So you won't get you won't get a new version of the operating system. It'll just continuously update to whatever the current build is. And so you won't get a big sort of feature release. You'll get, you maybe get 3 or 4 feature releases a year type of thing, but they're sort of just inherent within the update structure. So unless they change the policy again, but I sort of don't really see you getting a Windows 12. You might get a Windows 11, but yeah, that's well, yes, I mean it is cloud-based now, but and updates, things like that. But they're still they still have versions at the moment. So you've got Photoshop CC 2016, CC being the cloud version, and they're done under subscription. So you get the updates continuously, rather than actually buy. I'm not actually sure you can buy Photoshop anymore. I think it's all subscription stuff now, which I think at one time Microsoft were thinking about doing just that for Windows, and they may well do that again in the future, I guess. But for the moment, they're giving the operating system away, of course. Sorry. Now they're giving it away to people who already have 7, 8 or 7 or 8. If you don't, you have to buy it. So if you get a new machine, for example, you have to go out and buy the operating system. CS2, blimey, that's old. I mean, what was it? What was the last CS version? CS7, I think. I'm not sure. You're not paying monthly for an Adobe product. If you've already got a version that you're happy with, then fine. I mean, I don't actually know whether Adobe support updates on their existing product security updates, but I suspect not if it's an old version. But if you're the sort of person that buys the upgrades when they come out, then the monthly plans are they're cheaper than buying updates. But the only problem with them is you're renting the software, you're renting the license, so you don't actually own a license. And what that means is if you stop paying the monthly amount, you lose access to the software. Whereas if you'd bought it and you buy the updates, for example, then you continue to hold that license as long as, you know, basically as long as you can fulfill the conditions of the license. Okay. I'm not sure, Fear Reaper, to be honest. I literally don't know. Windows 10 removes a lot of legacy code, so it's possible that it might not. But basically, well, I was about to say almost anything that ran in Windows 7 or Windows 8 will run on 10, but not if it was using the legacy code, I guess. What you can do is, if you've got it on a PC, you just run the Windows 10 checker. I believe it will identify things like that, which won't actually run. I think the checker looks for some of the older library, you know, things that are hooking into the old libraries, and if it sees them, it says sorry. This camera keeps moving all over the place. Yeah, Windows CS2 is somewhat legacy. Yeah. To be totally silly about it, you know, it's does it even have paintbrushes in it? You know, it's that's old code, is CS2. But yeah, does the job. It does the job. That's the thing about it. Actually, that's always the problem for any company with updates, especially in business. Businesses don't update if they don't really have a reason to do so. So that's why they keep inventing, you know, new whizzy new features for some of these things, and then make people think they need them. Sometimes they do. I mean, if you Adobe Painter, for example, they things like the particle brushes, when they introduced those, were quite almost a revolutionary change, because it's almost in one brush you could start painting fire, and realistic looking fire, which was the sort of thing that was hardly possible before. Yeah. Can you still buy Office? Yes, you can. Office 2013. I think it does have a cloud install mode, but it's Office 365 is the cloud and subscription base. Office 2013 is installable. I don't know how much of it. A lot of it seemed to install. When I installed that, it seemed to install from the web. So you had the installer. It was a download, but you download the installer, and the installer then downloads. I'm not sure whether you can get discs for CDs for 2013, but it is a locally resident thing, whereas 365 is a hosted subscription based Office. Yep, certainly sounds like it has a lot. I don't play with CS a lot, to be honest. Chose no 7. I keep meaning to get into and learning it properly, but I don't really use it a great deal. I literally, I use Painter for art stuff more, and then Photoshop gets used for photos. Amazingly enough. We've got a few more there. Let's do a bit more weaving. Oh, that content away stuff is absolutely amazing, the way that works. So I start with a ring and put... I'll start with a ring that's open. I don't play with the warp that often, but that content away stuff is. I use the heel bushes a lot. Obviously, with having cat hairs all over the place, you get hairs in on photographs and stuff like that, and the heel bush is absolutely fantastic for just causing them to vanish. Yeah, true for you, Reaper. Right. Yeah, they came in at some point. I don't remember when the 3D model stuff came into CS. You guys know a lot more about it than I do. The only thing with this is it keeps wanting, of course, because this end's heavier, as I'm doing this it keeps wanting to sort of undo itself. And that's another row. So I'm going to start with, what do I start with? That just goes through there, and I add a blue ring onto it. Okay, like that. You go in there. Add the blue ring. Okay. Well, that's a good reason to to use CS2. Certainly can't argue with that. Mind you, I do wonder sometimes whether it's Adobe or whether it's Corel or any of them, quite how often they install features just to create an update, a new version each year or something like that, and how many people actually use all these things that they put in. I'm sure there are some people that do, but so in general it just always makes me wonder, it's whether it's smart guides or content aware or stuff like that, just how much actually really is useful stuff and how much is just sort of there for marketing purposes. Well, there's quite a few companies that will, if you're developing for the people, will let you use stuff for free, even if it's paid software. So WordPress, and WordPress isn't something I tried. I'm, as I've mentioned, building my own website. I looked at using WordPress for that and decided not to bother. I'm using the other one that Fear Reaper hates, and that's Joomla. But since I've never used a CMS before, then I don't know any better. But it works for what I want. That blue ring wants to go in that space there. That's it. It's not something I've done yet, but I did see it happen at work the other day, where there was a custom 404 message page which was missing. Now that was interesting. Luckily the browser gave up after a while. Now I need some more blue rings. For those of you that don't know, what happens there is a 404 message is a page not found, basically. And sometimes web servers will let you customize them, and in this particular case it did, but it was somebody had put it in the wrong place, I guess. So it wasn't there, so it tried to load the custom 404 message page, which wasn't there, so it tried to load the... You get the picture. Well, you didn't get the picture, that was the problem. Canvas moving. The only thing I found awkward so far about Joomla is the fact that, you know, because I do understand HTML coding and bits and pieces like that, it's kind of frustrating sometimes when you're trying to build a menu to do something, for example, and you know, you want it to, I don't know, display a list of available pages, say, and it'll only do that in certain ways, and you cannot. But I just want you to do. Then you either have to go out and find a module that does it, or either give up basically. But I don't see the discrepancy there, Fear Reaper. Why does being a businessman mean you can't be honest? And don't necessarily confuse honesty with not telling everything that there is to know. Oh, that's, you know, you're assuming that he means yeah. It's not a case of making up something to charge for. It's about, you know, you find the thing that they as Fear Reaper just Chosen07 just said. You find the things that you can do that they don't have the time or the inclination to do that you can charge for. I now want to go through there first with a blue ring on the pink ring. Okay. So I'm getting on quite well with this now. I just need to keep remembering how, you know, which ring to start with. Whether I start with a blue ring or I start with a pink ring. So that goes through there, and I pick that one up as well. Yep, that's right. I'll go through there and I'll pick up a blue ring on this side. I'm sure some people might do that for Reaper, but the thing being, as you just said, if you've got the reputation for being honest and you won't do that, then that becomes your selling point, if you like. And that becomes a reason why companies or people will come to you to do things, because they know you're not going to do that. And therefore, when you say this is what I can do for you, they're not looking for what it is that you're trying to cheat them on. Junior just made another small appearance there, guys, as you just just pick up that one there with a blue ring on it. You don't get a meow out of Junior very often, so actually the best way to get a meow out of Junior is to sneeze. He kind of says bless you every time you do it, or sometimes if you cough, but not very often. It's more of a sneeze, and he'll actually squeak back at you as a very much like bless you type of thing, isn't it? That's what you do. Yeah, you're going to go sit somewhere more comfortable, are you, now that you've messed up my desk? He may even go and visit you over there. Indeed, chose no 7. The other hand is a paw. Three hands, you see, 2 hands and a paw. you can do it both ways. I mean, it depends on well, you know, you can do it both ways. I mean, that code had to be developed in the first place. Okay, somebody quite often what you get is it happens quite a lot, and that is they if you get something like new code development, the first person that wants that piece of code indeed does pay for it to be developed, but then the company will add that into their sort of repertoire, product line, product, whatever it is, and subsequent customers get the benefit of it, either reduced rates or just include it for nothing. And you know, you might kind of think that's unfair. Why did the first company have to pay for it? But ultimately the first company then benefit from another company doing something for them, and they get it, and it sort of works out in the end. But if you prefer to work, you know, on a pure time basis, then work on a pure time basis. Yeah, other people work on the job basis. It's so much for the job, no matter how long it takes. Both are equally valid. And right, no, I don't pick anything up on that one, but that does go in there like that. Was that a junior? Junior actually squeaked. Don't know if the mic picked that up, but that's highly unusual. Right, through there. and that blue ring on there like that. Let's see if I can get hold of this without it falling out. There we go. Back in there, little blue ring. Okay, well, there we have a, how long is that? What's it going to be? It's not going to be much more than about 1.5 inches, if that. I'm not that good at judging, so let's have a look. About 1.25 inches, I think, of dragon scale, which is sits kind of like that. We just took that ring back through there like that. So there we go. So this is working quite well. Had bit up to about halfway down the third row, then it held together. The fourth row was easier, and then after that it holds itself in position. It's just then literally a case of continuously weaving. So it which it worked quite well, and it's looking quite pretty, I think. Thank you, Fear Reaper 7. Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight. We're now at 10 o'clock, a few minutes after, but we're at 10 o'clock. So you can tell that one of these is going to take a fair length of time to get to a bracelet length. Obviously the start was a bit longer, but it's going to take a few hours to build something like that. So we'll be here for another couple of nights by the looks of it, but that's assuming I have enough rings to do that. It's surprising how many it takes up. I suspect I don't have enough rings to do that, so we might finish that at some other time. We'll use what we've got and see. But apart from that, thank you all for watching. If there's anybody watching that isn't following, I would of course always appreciate you pushing the follow button. But if you just like notifications, then you can also follow me on Twitter. The details will be on the end plate in a moment, or below the stream window. And if you'd just like to try and catch the next stream tomorrow night, 8 PM UK, 1900 hours GMT, or about 2 hours ago, was 8 o'clock, so that time tomorrow. Thank you all. It's great fun. Square rings, you don't see square rings because they're really hard to do. You get rings which are made of square wire, but they're rings, and I don't think I've ever seen any hexagons. They'd probably have to be stamped, I imagine. If you see any anywhere, let me know. Might take a look and we'll see. In the meantime, thank you all, have a good evening, bye bye.